Mr. Jackson, welcome to Dominican Republic.
Thank you, thank you.
Is it the first time in our country?
No, it's not the first time.
I know.
Yeah. This is not the first time, but
When was the first time?
a long time ago, I can't even remember. But I was down here once before. See? Yeah.
And what do you think so far of this country?
It's a nice country, but it's a lot of things here that I see that I'm not used to.
Like what?
You got a lot of flies here.
A lot of?
Flies.
Oh, flies, moscas.
Lighting on the food.
I know, it's a tropical weather. We're not in Las Vegas.
But see, but they light on the food, then you eat
Yes,
the food.
I know.
Every time the fly lights on the food, he lay an egg.
That's why we have air conditioning. We love air conditioning.
I imagine so. It's humid down here.
You're 86.
Yes.
You've had a very long and intense life with lights and shadows, like everybody. But I'd like to start from the beginning. That time you were raising a family, 9 children, working 2 jobs, before all started, before Jackson 5 and the fame. How was your life?
When you have a lot of kids, you have to find some way of feeding them, you know. So that means that you got to work double as hard to keep food on the table.
Yes.
And that was my job. I kept plenty of food on the table. We never was on the welfare, nothing. We plenty of food to eat. Matter of fact, we raised a lot of our food.
Mm-hmm.
I had a garden too. Yes. And then we raised the food, you know, plenty of vegetables and things of that sort.
You wanted to be an artist too, yourself.
Well, I had a band myself, you know.
That was your dream.
Yeah, and played in the area where I was living at, you know,
Mm-hmm.
around the Chicago area and Indiana area. But you know, it's a thing that I had to do, and so my kids learned from that.
Do you consider that you were a good father with your kids, that you had time for them at that time?
Providing for 9 kids is not easy to do. They all were healthy, kept them healthy, and I didn't run away from the family. I stayed with them and raised them and keep them out of jail, keep them out of trouble. So I think that's a fantastic father.
Yes. And what happened with your dreams of being a musician? When did you change those dreams for?
Well, that dream came about when I found out that they loved music just as well as I did. Because a long time ago, before I started doing the music, they did a lot of Temptation songs, you know. From that, and I put them in doing music. We won a lot of talent shows. Matter of fact, they say when you go to Apollo Theater in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and you can perform there, you can perform anywhere in the world. And we did.
Jermaine at that moment was the most talented of the first three?
Yeah, well, he was the lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when Michael came aboard, because Jermaine had to play the guitar, you know. But when Michael came along, then Jermaine couldn't move around on the stage like Michael could. Michael could dance. He's a dancer. But he's the type of guy, he sees something one time,
Mm-hmm.
and he got it down.
How much of you is in Michael's artist, and how much of him, his own talent?
Michael takes after me. He said, I'm just like my father. He tells everybody, I'm just like my father. And he is.
Were they united, or there was some kind of jealousy between them when Michael?
No, we didn't like that. No, there was no jealousy. Jermaine knew that he couldn't do what Michael did, and Michael knew that he couldn't play the bass guitar and stuff. And Tito played the guitar too, man. And he played the lead guitar.
Okay. Then the Jackson 5 were born. All of them wanted to be artists, or it was your dream?
Well, any kid has a talent. Every kid has a talent, I say it like that. But the trouble is, you have to find the talent. My boys could have been good basketball players or football players.
Yes.
And also good baseball players. But I didn't like that too well. Too much getting hurt and all that stuff. So I kept them performing and rehearsing as being recording artists.
How did you mix being their manager and being their father? Did you separate them both, or was only one thing?
It was all one thing. One for all and all for one. It was like that. That's the way they were raised.
But you think you were more the manager or the father?
I was both the manager and the father.
How can you mix that? How can you...
Well, look, I did it. Look where they are now. They're laughing all the way to the bank. Yeah. So what are you talking about?
Did they call you dad?
They only mention me daddy when somebody say, they'll introduce me. This is my daddy, my father.
But
no,
normally...
They don't never say how to come in.
Because you wanted them to call you Joe? Or?
They call me whatever they want to call me.
And he didn't allow us to call him Daddy. And I wanted to call him Daddy so bad. He said, I'm not Daddy, I'm Joseph to you, you know?
Were you really strict to them, with them as an artist, not as kids?
As a father and as an artist, yes.
Both. Very. Extremely.
Extremely.
I don't think he realizes to this day how scared.
But were you affectionate?
Yeah.
Did you hug them and kiss them and told them that you loved them and had time to have fun with them?
We had fun. We fished a lot. We did a lot of fishing, you know, and Michael, one time we was out fishing and Michael fell in the river and he went down 2 times. It was real deep. And the second time, the third time he came up, my oldest daughter grabbed him by the hair and pulled him out.
Oh my God.
Because he's the type of kid, he never could be still. And he's still like that way.
He could never be still.
No, you had to always watch him.
He was hyperactive, you could say.
Hyperactive.
So you had to...
Like double hyperactive.
You had to spank him sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to spank him sometimes, like all fathers do.
No, he didn't get too many whippings, man, no.
Huh?
He didn't get too many whippings. Because his mother whipped him more than I did because she was with him all the time. Yeah.
Do you think they lived a happy childhood, all of them?
I think so. They got everything they needed. They're laughing all the way to the bank now.
Oh, there's a lot of sadness about my past life and, you know, adolescence and my father and all of those things. It just made me very, very, very sad.
So he would tease you, make fun of you?
Yes.
Did he ever beat you?
Yes, he did. Yes.
And that was difficult to take, getting beaten and going on stage and performing?
Yes.
And why would he beat you?
Because he saw me, he wanted me to, I guess maybe, I don't know if I was his golden child or whatever it was. Some may call it a strict disciplinarian or whatever, but he was very strict, very hard, you know, very stern. And just a look would scare you, you know, and...
Were you scared of him?
Very frightened. There's been times when he'd come to see me and I would get sick. You know, I'd start to regurgitate.
As a child or as an adult?
Both. He's never heard me say this. I'm sorry, please don't be mad at me.
Just let me go back. You just said that you would practice the dance steps and your father would be holding a belt in his hand. Is that what you just said?
Yes. And he would tear you up if you missed. And so we, not only were we practicing, we were nervous rehearsing because he sat in the chair and he had this belt in his hand. And if you didn't do it the right way, he would tear you up, really get you. But I got it a lot of times, but I think my brother Marlon got it the most because he had a hard time at first, and he tried so hard. And it was always, do it like Michael, you know, but the others were very nervous, and I was nervous too, you know, because he was tough.
How often would he beat you?
Too much.
How did you feel then when Michael gave that interview to Oprah Winfrey and he said he didn't have a happy childhood, that you were extremely strict, that he was afraid of you, that he would even vomit when I saw you, and that you sat with a belt while they were rehearsing, and if they made it wrong, you punished them. And we listened to you, and it's another story. Why? How did you feel?
He done changed that story now. Believe me, he has. Because I knew that when he said that, he didn't quite understand, because he was smaller. He didn't understand what I had to go through with, you know, to get them, keep them healthy, and keep them eating, and keep them protected. But now before he died, he understood. He put a big thing in the press.
What did he say to you?
My father is the best manager in the world. That's what was said.
The best manager
in the world.
Did he say you were the best father too? How did you feel then when Michael gave that interview to Oprah Winfrey and he said he didn't have a happy childhood, that you were extremely strict, that he was afraid of you, that he would even vomit when I saw you, and that you sat with a belt while they were rehearsing, and if they made it wrong, you punished them. And we listened to you, and it's another story. Why? How did you feel?
He done changed that story now. Believe me, he has. Because I knew that when he said that, he didn't quite understand, because he was smaller. He didn't understand what I had to go through with, you know, to get them, keep them healthy, and keep them eating, and keep them protected. But now before he died, he understood. He put a big thing in the press.
What did he say to you?
My father is the best manager in the world. That's what was said.
The best manager
in the world.
Did he say you were the best father too?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's in the press. Yeah, It's all in the press.
Were you close at
always
the end?
Has been close. Only thing it is, when he needed help, I couldn't help him because they couldn't find me. But he says, get my father. He would know how to get me out of this.
Were you with him? Were you supportive when he was accused of child molesting?
No, I wasn't with him, but I knew that's something that they tried to bring on him, because we knew that he wasn't raised back then. He wasn't that type of person. Some people will build up kind of stories, try to bring you down, because, and those people that was talking about him, he was helping them a lot.
How did that affect Michael Jackson's personality?
His personality bothered him a lot, because he had to go up there in the courthouse, you know, and sometimes he went up there in his pajamas and all that. So remember that?
Yes, yes. He became, would you say he was depressed at that time?
To a certain extent, yes. Yes, he was.
Were you worried about him?
No, because I knew that he knew that I was for him. And right behind, I was at the courthouse with him all the time. He knew that the family was with him, and he knew that he had done these things with the accused of. And we knew that he hadn't done these things accused of, so we didn't worry about that.
When was the last time you spoke with him before he died?
I think I got him. I got his. Last time I spoke with him, I got his picture and my picture in one of the theaters there in Hollywood, now in Las Vegas.
Did you keep any regrets towards Michael? Something
No.
that I should have, when people die, normally we have regrets. Maybe I should have done something different, should have said something more.
I do have a couple of regrets that I would have protected him more. he had got to the point where he was trying to do things on his own.
Yes.
I mean, he didn't know people like I did. He didn't know the system. He didn't know the business like I know, not like I knew.
Do you identify with him?
Totally.
You don't want to grow up?
No, I am Peter Pan.
No, you're not. You're Michael Jackson.
I'm Peter Pan by heart.
Why do you think he kept that childish attitude all of his life?
Well, I think it's because that's the way he accumulated a lot of fans, because he always said that he never had a childhood. But he didn't need a childhood. He had all his family to play with, you know. So there was all that. But his childhood was right there at home, but the family knowing where he's at all times.
He always said that he worked too hard and he didn't get to enjoy his childhood. And that's why he was enjoying it after he was an adult.
Well, all those kids are his age now. Some of them are dead and some of them are in prison.
Yes. It was hard back then to keep the kids.
Very hard.
The kids away from trouble.
Yes.
And you did in a way through music with your kids.
I did it through music and also through being protected, knowing what they were at all times. That's very important.
How do you feel when the part of the world, a big part of the world, think that you're to blame for the apparent unhappiness of Michael Jackson?
I've been all over the world 6 times. Everywhere there's land, I've been there. And that's when I gathered all those friends. I have more friends than Carter got oats all over the world. I've been all up in Vietnam. Spent a long time up in there. All the communist countries, Russia, China. I've been all up in there. On TV, doing these type of interviews and stuff. So that's why I'm able to handle you.
But how do you feel as a father?
Great. I feel great because I'm a father that did a job that's done good. And everybody likes my kids all over the world.
Do you miss him?
Yes, I do.
What do you miss the most about him?
I miss most about, him being around and miss him singing and things of that sort. Michael sang a lot.
Did you know that he was using some anesthesia sometimes to go to sleep, that he has so much trouble to go to sleep?
Well, it's a thing that sometimes when you can't sleep, they give you that medicine to make you sleep. But I didn't know he was using it to go to sleep that much, because I thought he could go to sleep.
You said once that you didn't think it was an accident, that what happened to Michael was not just an accident. Now, past the time, do you still think the same?
Well, I'll tell you what. He's no longer with us. He didn't get a chance to do all his shows that he was supposed to do. He was supposed to do more shows, and they added more shows on to it, and he didn't like that. But if something went on there, and I can't catch up to it right now, but I'm working on it. Now, I did my own documentary. I got my book coming out.
Your book? When is your book coming out?
I'm right now. I'm holding it back, letting everybody know. I'm looking for the best director.
Oh, great. That's great. Your story. It's good to hear your life story.
My life, and called The Track in My Shoes. Journey in My Shoes. Journey in My Shoes.
It's a good title. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. How is your relation with your grandkids?
Fine.
All of them, including Michael's kids, Prince and Paris.
Yeah, they're fine.
Do you get together with the whole family? For example, your birthdays.
Most of my family don't celebrate birthdays.
No?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, really?
You know about Jehovah. Really.
Who are you closer to?
Huh?
Who are you closer to from the group of kids?
The whole family.
The same with all of them?
All of them.
What are they doing now?
They're touring. They're touring. They have a concert promoters that they're touring now, different parts of the world.
Okay. And you still working with different artists?
Oh, yeah.
One last question. Are you going to keep on working until you die?
Huh?
Like die with your boots on?
I'm gonna die naked. You ask me a question like that, I'm gonna answer because I'm gonna die naked.
I want to die naked.
I'm gonna donate my clothes to you.
But you're still married. Aren't you married?
Huh?
You're still married.
Yes.
Your wife lives in Los Angeles and you live in Las Vegas?
You done answered me that twice already.
No.
Don't think I forgot.
We're not on camera. Now we are on camera. Your wife lives in Los Angeles and you live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But you're still married.
Yeah.
And you visit each other.
Yeah.
Not what people said that you
I don't care what people
abandoned.
Whatever
home.
people say, it don't bother me. 'Cause they talk.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.